You're here to unlock the future of innovation. And I'm going to be really honest. I'm not going to talk to you this morning about PLM. Is that, oh, good. Well, I love you already. Okay, I'm not going to talk to you about digital threads. You're okay with all that? You're okay. I got a lot of head nods out there. So I'm in the right crowd. I like it. I'm not going to talk about any of that directly. But what I am going to do is I'm going to hopefully get at all of that more indirectly, from a very different perspective, as Rocky just alluded to. I'm going to talk about you. I'm going to get kind of personal. I'm going to ask you to leave all of the high-tech stuff outside those doors just for about 60 minutes or so. And I'm simply going to give you a different approach to unlocking innovation. And what I want to do is I want to do it in 3 ways, because I like to think in threes. So what I want to do is I want to help you notice what matters so that you can better unlock innovation. I want to challenge you to lead different so that you can unlock innovation. And I want to invite you, encourage, give you a lot of different ideas around how you might be able to better engage and connect with the community and the teams that you work with on a daily basis. And I think in the chaos and the craze and the technology and all those things, you look at Facebook as over 2 billion daily connections. You know what? Those are not real connections. Those are automated online connections. And you know what the research tells us? Is those connections aren't nearly as healthy and as valuable and as important to us as these connections. These are the connections that allow you to look into the eyes of the individual, your colleague, your friend, your family, your neighbor. When you look into the eyes, it's the window to the soul. When you press the flesh, when you have a chance to engage and connect at a deep and meaningful level, it touches the core of who we have been wired to be. Deeply embedded in every single one of us is a desire to engage and connect. I know digital threads are great. I know they are. I know AI is incredible. I use it. But you know what? It's not the same. What do you suppose that epidemic is? Loneliness. Yeah. And Murthy, who's serving his 2nd term as the U.S. General, you know what he says? He says, our understanding of biology, psychology, and the workplace calls for companies. Thank you, Eris, for bringing this community of people together. Calls for companies to foster, making social connections not just a priority, but a strategic priority. I will take feedback back like that every day, all day, because you know what it does? It enriches me. And every time you invest that kind of time and energy, that's courageous because it requires thought and it requires intention and attention to the unique individuals of every single one of your players. Every single one of them. Because guess what? One size does not fit all. One size fits one. Individuals are messy. You got to show up in the messiness of their lives, and the messiness of their personalities, and the messiness of their day, and the messiness of their insecurities. And you got to be willing to engage with a human-only quality. And that's empathy. Empathy is you don't have to show up and you don't have to fix it. Empathy is you show up and you do whatever you can to feel it and understand it in their space, not yours, in their head, not yours. One size fits one. That's why That's why this thing called leadership, the psychology of leadership, we're never going to get it wired. Because just when we get it wired with one player, that player's going to lift off and leave, and then we got another one that's radically different. How do you figure out what one size one looks like? Well, let's borrow from the timeless, thought leader in leadership, Peter Drucker. He says the leader of the past knew how to tell people what to do. He said the leader of today is a person who always knows how to ask. And here's what I want you to know. That phrase, I know. Oh, I know. Oh, I know. Oh, I know. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. I know. Kick that to the curb. Because when we start any conversation, any kind of communication, or even respond with, yeah, I know, you know what happens? It immediately, our brain hears it. Our brain hears those words, and our brain and our heart shut down. We close ourselves off immediately to any possibilities that are out there, any new potential insights that are out there. I know, says brain, relax, heart, settle down. No need, I got this. And courageous leaders are people who say, I'm going to show up to every meeting with that curious mindset. No more I know. I'm going to show up with a curious mindset, and you know what that means? I listen 98% of the time. And you draw ideas then in from all people. That's courageous leadership. That's leadership that will unlock innovation. Is he would show up. He would show up to teams across the system, not when it was convenient for Herb, not during typical business hours. He would show up in a maintenance hangar at 2 a.m. and pony up next to the maintenance team and say, what are you doing? With a spirit of curiosity. He always wanted to know. Are you showing up? Are you showing up to people when it's inconvenient for you? And maybe it's even awkward and frustrating. It's the busiest time for them, but you're showing up not to fix anything, but you're showing up to feel it with them. And you're showing up to just have their backside, their blind side, just to be there, to support and to serve. Have you developed a relationship with your people so you can do that? And when they see you walking in, they're excited about it, not because you're going to challenge them, not because they have to be on guard, but because they're like, oh, God, we got another hand. We got another set of eyes. We got another brilliant mind on this one. And they don't expect you to tell, but they expect you to ask with really insightful questions that draw the ideas out of them. Whew. That's leadership. Curiosity. Here's another brilliant thinker. We got the chance to meet Ratan Tata, one of the patriarchs of one of the largest conglomerates in Southeast Asia, and his whole, philosophy is good thoughts, good words, good deeds. And when a Tata enterprise shows up in any part of the world, they always improve the community. And Ratan, a gentleman, beyond any gentleman I've ever experienced. I mean, brilliant thinker. He had answers. He has answers. But every time he showed up to a team meeting, Ratan Tata never showed up having all the answers. He always showed up with a series of questions. And this is just who he was. He was that guy who created a dare to try culture, because he always enabled curiosity to the core. He demonstrated it, he modeled it, and he always said, well, what if? With a real childlike spirit. And then he'd say, well, why? Why is it that you think? Well, why not? Well, what are we missing? What else? What could be next? And it really challenged people because it got them, and they were all comfortable and confident in putting ideas out on the table, even crazy ideas. And he was so brilliant at doing this, they even had a Dare to Try award where they'd award and celebrate failures. You know why? so that they could be talked about and no one would repeat that same failure. That's courage. Jimmy Blanchard, another great leader that we got the chance to meet, he would start every meeting, this is courageous, every meeting. He'd look out at a team like this, big teams. What are the 25 dumbest things we're doing around here? You're going, heck no. I would never do that. Okay, you don't have to. What if you just said, what are the 3? What are the 2? And then you don't say, so that I can fix them. What are the 3 dumbest things that we do around here? And what's your solution? What's your potential solution? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Whew. That's how you enable. And then ultimately, that's how you enrich everybody's desire to unlock innovation.